Alright, so now that we got the bumper off, I gotta go grab the front mount and see how I'm gonna go about mounting it up. You can see the bars here is kind of dainty in comparison to, like, say a USDM one. I think they're a lot bigger usually on the cars here, but even from this era. But yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get my front mount out and see what I can do about getting it ready. Alright, so the first thing that I noticed is it's not going to fit up here because we've got these horns here in the way. So I'm going to unbolt those and then see about moving them up. Other thing I looked at is it looks like, unfortunately, I'm going to be losing my OEM fog lights, which kind of sucks. Looks like I might even have to cut the bracket for them off or something, which I don't like. Alright, so right there's where I got to drill the hole for the piping on the driver's side. Okay, so I went and got a better 3-inch hole saw that's actually made from metal. Go ahead and get to it. Okay, so after cutting the holes and everything like that, this piping kit honestly kind of sucks. It's an eBay special, so it's kind of what you get. The problem that I was coming across, two problems. One is the intercooler sitting a little crooked, as well as sitting, like the driver's side was sitting forward a bit. I got the pipe out right now. I've got it more or less straight right now, but I'm cutting an inch off of this pipe here because no matter what I did, it couldn't get it pushed in anymore. So it looks like this pipe, I have to cut about an inch off. So I'm going to start cutting an inch off of it. I already cut it in half. I'm going to cut an inch off and then do a coupler there and put it back on and see what happens. Other thing I came across is this top pipe here. In order for it to not hit the hood, it's got to sit basically how it is right now, which is fine. Problem was that other pipe, that one there, the other end of it was sitting like over here. So I'm going to see if maybe once I cut that inch off, it's going to give me maybe some adjustability there, but I'm not counting on it. So what I'll possibly have to do then is cut this upper pipe as well. Cut it right here, enough so that I can cock it like that and get it into place over there. It's not ideal. It's not going to be as nice looking because you can have a coupler here and then a coupler here, but it's going to be what it is. I saw some videos online of people putting together these kits, like using like the Gretty kits or the CX Racings, and they had much better results, but those are also like quadruple the price at least. This was only about 180 bucks shipped, the piping and the intercooler, so I'm making do with what I have. I do have a front-facing plenum, upper plenum here that I'm going to be putting on later on, so that's why I'm not too worried about cutting up this piping because it's not going to be that way long term. So I ended up actually getting a different piping kit. Well, this is secondhand, as you can probably tell. It's all scratched up and whatnot. Bought these off a local person here who was changing their setup, and these fit perfect compared to what I had. The bends are right and everything like that. So yeah, this is a 1/4 inch thinner material too, which probably helps with getting it into place and everything like that, or getting it through. But yeah, it's perfect in comparison. Now I just have to get some new couplers because the old stuff was 2.5 inches. This is 2 1/4. So I got the ones to the core there. I'm gonna have to do 3 inches of 2 1/4. Up here I use the factory coupler. But yeah, this works much better. So I don't recommend the JDM Sport kit. The intercooler core, that fits fine, but the kit for the piping and everything, I don't recommend it. It sucks. And then here's the other one here. There's that one. You can see there's a bunch of overspray on it, so I'll probably end up sandblasting these and spray painting them or something. Maybe get them powder coated. Okay, and one thing that I have to hook up is this hose right here to this one right here, and that's for the idle air control valve. And if you can tell, this is a 3/4 and this is a 1/2 inch. So what I did is I went ahead and got this barb fitting, which is under here. I already put it on this thing. It's a barb fitting that goes from 3/4 to 1/2. So I'm gonna basically, I cut the hose short enough so that most of this will be covered, and I'll just slide it onto here. Alright, so that's what that part looks like there. And I've got to get some 1/2 inch line over to it. So highly doubt I'll be able to just curve it there without kinking it, but I've got like a foot of it to play with. Okay, so just looking at it from here, there's no way I'm gonna not kink it. Okay, so that actually looks okay. That doesn't look bad. There is a little bit of a kink there, so I might see what I can do about that, because there's a tiny bit of a kink right there. But I think it'll probably be okay. Nice thing about that is that I don't have a whole lot, and it looks kind of OEM-ish. Not really, but yeah. Alright, so looking at it from here, I think I'm going to leave it. There's a small kink there, but I think it'll be fine. Once it gets warmed up from the engine and everything like that, I think it'll be okay. Well, if not, I'll find out real quick, because I'll be starting this here the next couple days. I've got all the couplers and everything I need. Got the intake on there. So yeah, I'm going to see what happens. Okay, and here's what I ended up doing with the Pcv Valve Setup. So what I did is I got some 5/8 hose. I got about 2 feet or so of it. And I went ahead and got this 5/8 T. It's like a heater hose T, and this was heater hose as well. And what I did is I put the T in the middle here, cut a little piece there, a little piece here. Used some of the factory hose clamps from the stock intake setup, and then ran this part over down into the factory location. Hopefully that works. Not sure. Usually the turbo versions have a T right here, so this would just be a one straight loop, and then the T off of this comes right down to here. I did it a little different, but I think it should work. Then in the back here, it went 3/4 to like this roughly 1/2 inch line here. So I did a 3/4 to 1/2 inch brass fitting, and then I did a little piece of 3/4 right here, and then a little piece of 1/2 inch right there. I couldn't find any factory style clamps at the local parts store, so I had to use some of those worm clamps. I don't like them. They're kind of ugly and stick out, so I'll probably change them out, but they're functional. Okay, and then over here for the vacuum, I actually I'm still using the factory charcoal canister, which runs to 2 vacuum lines, one over there and then one under the throttle body. I only tapped into the bigger one here. So I tapped in 1 T, 1/4 inch T right down here for the wastegate actuator, and then another T right up there for the blow-off valve. And then looks like from the factory on the turbo motors, this would clamp up to here. So I got some little clamps here that I'm going to go ahead and tie it to right there. It's not pretty, but it'll work. And then I used the factory blow-off valve recirc fitting pipe, so that's all fine. Same deal with these clamps, don't have the OEM style, so I had to use some of those. They're kind of ugly, but they'll work. So yeah, I think it's pretty much ready to take for a spin around the block now. I just got to put the marker lights in so that I don't get pulled over. Probably just going to go around the block, try it out, see how it happens. Alright, and the factory ECU is going to be the same place as basically every other Nissan, or at least of this era. It's going to be right behind the passenger kick panel. And for that, we just got to take off this sill here first, just a couple of Phillips that pop up. Another Phillips right there, and then in the back there's another Phillips there. Really easy, pretty self-explanatory. I just realized my car has a little road flare mounted there, which is apparently pretty common in these cars, or in Japanese cars in Japan. Alright, and then there's our factory ECU. There's just a couple of 10mm that hold it. One down here on the bottom, and then this one right here. The other one was that one in the back, that screw that you taking out the kick panel. and then it's just going to pop out, and also this little 10mm or 8mm, whatever this is, has to pop out so you can undo the plug. Alright, and then this here is my enthalpy ECU. It's tuned for the setup. As you can see, I got it tuned like a year ago, or a little over a year ago, and this is the factory one. We're going to mount it the same way. Then go ahead and plug it in, see if it fires my car first before I go ahead and mount it in there. There's sometimes issues with mail order tunes, but enthalpy generally is pretty good, so we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I got the enthalpy one just kind of flopping there right now. I'm going to go ahead and do the first start with it. I've got some junk on the engine bay right now, so I'm going to move it around, but I'll do the first start with it before I go in and mount it up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so this is going to be the first start on the enthalpy ECU. This is a GTS-T ECU tuned for the RB25DE with the turbo setup. So. Fired up fine so far, idling good. Seems okay. I'm going to let it idle for a little bit and warm up, and then I'll give a few revs. Seems good so far, so I would say it's safe to take it for a drive. I got to put the bumper on and the corner lights. I'll probably just put the corner light drive bumperless for a little bit to make sure it's okay around the block, but pretty good. Okay, so now that it starts and everything like that, the next thing I'm going to do is run my gauges. So I'm going to run a boost gauge, connect that to a vacuum line. I'm also going to run the wideband wiring. I don't have a wideband bung in my downpipe yet, but I will be getting one welded in, so I will get the wiring in there and everything like that, get the gauge mounted and whatnot. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go in through over here on the driver's side. Okay, so right there is a wiring harness that goes through. It's a pretty big grommet there, so I'm going to be able to push the wires through there. So I'm going to push those through there, and they're going to come out in the driver's side footwell there. So that's where I'm going to do it. There's a little piece of foam in there I got to pull out, so I'll pull that off, and then I'll run my vacuum line right over to that T there, and then I'll run the wideband cabling down over that. I'll leave a lot extra, that way I can pull it back in to tuck it away. Once I get the bung in, because I'm not sure exactly where I'll have them put it yet, it'll probably be down by the cat down in that area, so I will go ahead and get started here in a sec. Okay, so inside the car, I'm getting it ready so that I can mount the gauges. I'm pretty sure these are meant to mount up top here, and then I move this down, I believe. Although this kind of sits pretty far back, so it might be meant to mount in the DIN mount. I don't know. I'll take a look here. I'm going to pop the radio out and take a look. Alright, I got it mocked up. Originally I wanted the gauges down under here, but it looks like it's meant to be on the top, so I moved the radio down. Looks pretty good. I put the trim on a little bit ago. It looks good. Matches up decently. Don't hate it. Gauges obviously don't match. I might paint the background here black, just to make it match a little bit. There's a little ring there. Then I'll probably just do a blank here. But yeah, so now I just got to run the wires to it. And here's how I have the coat hanger I ended up using. You've got it coming out right there. I did it from the inside of the car because the bigger plug on the wideband is the one that goes inside the car. So I'm just going to pull that in rather than trying to push that guy through from the inside, which, you know, obviously wouldn't work, at least not without mangling it. Then here's how we're looking in here. That's where it is. What I did is I first poked it with a long screwdriver just to rip it there, and then what I'm going to do now is tape that wideband cable and electrical tape it to that, and then just pull it back through. I'm going to spray a little bit of penetrating fluid down in that area just so that it slides through there nicely. I'm also going to be pulling the vacuum line for my boost gauge in at the same time. Hopefully the same time. I'm going to tape the wideband one in front and then this one a little bit further back. Hopefully they make it through. We'll see. Okay, so I did that off camera, but I did get them through. Ended up slicing a little bit more of the rubber on the grommet there. So those are through now, which is great. So I got them all through there. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut those off and then route them over to my gauges. And here's how we're looking with the bumper. You can see there, see the intercooler just a little bit, and then right there, fitment is good. It's only mounted on the bottom down there. You can see the brackets that came with the intercooler. They basically mount to some factory bolt holes on the body for like the under splash shield and stuff. You can see the bumper went back on as it should. Kind of just zip tied the horn and that air sensor there. I'll probably end up doing something a little nicer than this, but it's just kind of temporary while I get everything ironed out. And yeah, I got it to fit perfectly fine. Pretty minimal trimming. I like how it's pretty unassuming, you know, front end like that. You can't even tell at a glance. Alright, so I skipped some steps there, but I went ahead and put in a test pipe. Really easy, just 4 bolts. Knob bolts, and then we put the new one in, and I'll show you it. This is a used one I bought, but there it is. And then I have the wideband bung there on the other side. Now you can see the wideband is working now, so now I can see what's going on with my AFRs while I'm having a little bit of hesitation under boost.